Once upon a time, in a magical land filled with mystical creatures and enchanting fairies, lived a young and curious girl named Disco. Disco was a kind and gentle soul, always eager to help anyone in need. She loved exploring the magical forest that surrounded her little village and often went on adventures with her best friend, Phoenix, a magical firebird. Phoenix was a magnificent creature with vibrant red, orange, and yellow feathers. He was very wise and knowledgeable about the magical world they lived in, and Disco loved listening to his stories about the creatures and fairies that inhabited their enchanted realm. The two friends were inseparable, and together they made a great team, helping other animals and keeping their beautiful world safe and sound. One sunny afternoon, as Disco and Phoenix were walking through the magical forest, they stumbled upon a group of magical animals gathered in a circle. In the center of the circle was a small, injured baby unicorn, crying in pain. The magical animals were worried, as they didn't know how to help their friend. Disco and Phoenix immediately sprang into action. Phoenix used his powerful wings to create a gentle breeze that would keep the other animals calm while Disco approached the wounded unicorn. She carefully knelt down beside it and began to inspect the injury. As she examined the small, delicate creature, she realized that the poor baby unicorn had a painful thorn stuck in its hoof. Disco knew she had to be gentle, as unicorns were sensitive creatures and their magic could be affected by pain. Slowly and carefully, Disco pulled the thorn out, trying to cause as little pain as possible. The baby unicorn's eyes filled with gratitude, and it let out a small whinny of relief. The magical animals cheered and thanked Disco for her bravery and kindness. As a token of their gratitude, the fairies who inhabited the magical forest gifted her a small pouch of magical fairy dust. They explained that the dust could help heal wounds and mend broken hearts, but it could only be used by someone with a pure and kind heart. Disco was honored and thanked the fairies for their gift. She vowed to use the magical dust wisely and only for good deeds. She placed the pouch in her pocket, and with Phoenix by her side, they continued on their journey through the Enchanted Forest. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they came across a quiet grove where they could stop and rest. Phoenix perched on a branch above Disco, who sat on the soft grass below. They spent some time discussing their latest adventure and how they were grateful to have helped the baby unicorn. Suddenly, they heard a faint cry for help in the distance. Disco and Phoenix exchanged worried glances, knowing that someone in their magical land was in trouble. With determination in their eyes, they set off to find the source of the cry. They followed the sound and soon found themselves in a part of the forest that neither of them had ever seen before. The trees were taller and darker, and the atmosphere was strange and eerie. The ground was covered in a thick fog, which made it hard for Disco to see where she was going. Phoenix, however, used his keen vision and bright feathers to light the way for his friend. As they continued further, they finally came to a small clearing. In the center, they found a beautiful fairy with long, flowing hair and a delicate gown made of flower petals. She was sobbing, her small wings quivering with sadness. Disco and Phoenix approached her cautiously, not wanting to startle the fragile creature. Disco gently asked, "Are you the one who called for help?" "What happened?" The fairy, noticing the kind faces of Disco and Phoenix, wiped her tears and replied, "Yes, it was me. My name is Lila, and I'm the guardian of the heart tree, the magical tree that keeps our enchanted world alive and thriving. Recently, a strong storm passed through our land and damaged the heart tree's trunk, causing it to lose its magic." Lila continued, "I've tried everything I could think of to heal the tree, but nothing has worked. If the heart tree dies, our magical world will fade away, and all the creatures and fairies who live here will lose their magic forever." Disco and Phoenix looked at each other, realizing the gravity of the situation. They knew that they had to do everything in their power to help Lila and save their beloved magical land. Without hesitation, Disco reached into her pocket and took out the pouch of magical fairy dust given to her by the fairies earlier. She held it up and said, "We might be able to help. The fairies gave me this magical dust that can heal wounds and mend broken hearts. Maybe it can save the heart tree as well." Lila's eyes sparkled with hope as she looked at the pouch. She knew about the magical dust and had heard stories of its incredible healing powers, but she had never seen it herself. Disco carefully opened the pouch, and with the help of Phoenix's fiery breath, they gently blew the magical dust towards the heart tree. The dust swirled in the air, creating a shimmering cloud that enveloped the tree's damaged trunk. The magical particles worked their way deep into the bark, mending the broken parts and restoring the tree's lost magic. As the dust settled, the heart tree began to glow with a vibrant, pulsing light that filled the entire clearing. The tree's leaves turned a bright, healthy green, and the air around them seemed to vibrate with magical energy. The heart tree was healed. Lila was overjoyed and thanked Disco and Phoenix for their heroism and selflessness. The magical forest's inhabitants rejoiced, knowing that their world would continue to thrive thanks to the bravery and kindness of their two new heroes. From that day on, Disco and Phoenix were celebrated as the protectors of the Enchanted Forest, and their friendship only grew stronger with each new adventure they embarked on. And, as they continued to help those in need, they learned a valuable lesson: the most powerful magic in the world comes not from enchanted objects or mystical creatures, but from the acts of love and kindness that we share with one another. And so, Disco, Phoenix, and their magical friends lived happily ever after, their hearts forever bound by their shared love for their enchanted home and each other. And they knew that, no matter what challenges they would face in the future, they would always be able to overcome them as long as they had each other and the magic of kindness in their hearts. The end.